Terrika Foster-Brasby is here. What's up? What's going on here? What's this all about? What's this all about for those?
We were in sync this morning.
I mean,
we knew.
We're right there. This morning, maybe even last night, maybe you decide, I don't know, like old school, do you like lay out, I'm gonna wear this, I'm gonna do this, You put it all out together. For those who are watching on Peacock TV, you can see that we have a similar like color scheme with the shirt on today.
We do.
And what y'all don't know is before the show started, one of our great producers, Natalie Esquire, what a name, Natalie Esquire, said, hey, these are Terrika's topics. What are your topics? I said, well, you know what? Terrika's topics are pretty much my topics. So we're already, we're there. We're here. We're there. So the theme, if the show had a theme today, Brother from Another, if it had a theme, it would be produced by Kendrick Lamar, not because he's in this whole beef thing, not because he won the beef with Drake, but it would be a Kendrick Lamar special, All the Stars. Because Terrika, I want to talk about stars. I'm fascinated by stars. I just want to be around them. We're talking about short listers, no scrubs today, no mediocrity. Yes. Everybody we talk about has just stardust on them. And I'm trying to get some too. Because I remember because I feel like it works out for you if you're just around them. I remember I sat close to, back in high school when I took the SAT, I sat close to the valedictorian as he was taking the SAT.
So you felt like some of that energy just came off on you, right? You felt like some of that energy.
I said, he's confident. I feel pretty good. Now he got, not that he bragged about it, but we all knew his score. He got a 1510 out of 1600. He got a 1510. He did. Okay. We'll stop right there. Okay.
I didn't even, to be fair, I didn't even take the SAT. So there you go.
That's how good you are. That's how good you are. Listen, I'm going to get where I need to go. I don't need the SAT. Hey, and according to your feed, maybe OKC, the OKC Thunder, they were back in high school last night. You think they're a little fresh-faced. You think they're a little too young because they had a 2-2 series. They're the number one seed. The Dallas Mavericks are not the number one seed in the Western Conference. And yet, OKC is one game away from elimination. I think that happened for one reason, but you think it's OKC's youth. So tell me about that.
Well, let me be clear that I am not using their youth as an excuse as to why they are where they are, because there's a culmination of things that they are where they are right now, which is basically one game away from going home. But I think their age is starting to show, which is something that I hadn't seen all postseason long from them. It was like, y'all not going to say that this team is too young. Who cares if they're the number one, the youngest number one seed ever in any conference? Who cares about all of that? But right now, their inexperience is starting to show, because this has been a team who has really formed their identity all the way through this postseason, seriously, based on how they shoot the three. They are a three-point shooting team. And 7 for 29 is not going to get it for you. So what happens? What happens now that what has been your identity doesn't work? Experienced teams find ways to adjust. Inexperienced team kind of just keep doing the same thing, hoping that it changes, and it doesn't change. But you know what has been changing? Luka Doncic. We don't care about this. He don't care about this knee. He don't care about this ankle. He don't care about the refs. Luka said, you know what? I'm going to quit playing with y'all and I'm going to show up the way I show up. And so that is one of the reasons why I say OKC's youth is really starting to come through in a way that it hadn't really come through before in this postseason.
You said Luka said stop playing. And look, I'm going to tell you how I feel about Luka, because I'm going to have to sit here and humble myself. I'm going to have to humble myself. Because I've said some things about Luka in the past couple of weeks, And I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Natalie, for not throwing up an in case you missed it on Luka, because then I just have to sit there and say, damn, I said that. I said that. What year was that? Oh, it was 2024. What month was that? Oh, it was May. I talked big-ish about Luka Doncic, but here's Luka last night, and then we'll talk about what we saw and what we heard.
We know the last game we played against them at home, we let it go. It was our mistakes, and they hit shots. So our mentality just in the playoffs, it's first to four. So you got to win four before they do. So you got to go game by game.
Yeah, you obviously 30-point triple-double, shot the ball well, but how satisfying was it for you to seal this with that block and transition?
A bit. Next year, all NBA defensive team.
All right, look, Terrika, oh, God. Oh, my God. Some of the stuff I said about Luka, and, I was clowning him, and it was fun. It was fun. I had fun while it happened, but I didn't really think about the consequences. I didn't think about, tomorrow. It was just like,
how that crow gonna taste.
It's my youth, okay? My youth and my inexperience, okay, taking over. So I had all these things to say about Luka. Oh, I don't fear Luka. Luka doesn't play defense. Luka can't beat the Clippers. Why can't they beat the Clippers? Okay, they beat the Clippers. That wasn't a problem. They finally got by the Clippers in the playoffs in the first round. Here they are in the second round. Luka playing on one leg. And, yeah, he made that block at the end. Luka is playing. If you watch this game, because I'm just sick. I just stay up and watch these games and just enjoy them. He really plays like not to mix sports, but he plays like Ed Reed used to play, but not as rangy, okay? So he's pretty much playing safety. He's playing free safety on defense. He's not really like getting up on people because he's conserving, he's preserving himself. He shouldn't be out there. He's clearly hurt. And yet, he's still able to impact the game in incredible ways. This is, in all seriousness, I know I've clowned the dude. This is already, I don't know how it's going to end for the Dallas Mavericks. This is one of the guttiest playoff performances, just in totality, not just this game, but Luka out there, this series. This is one of the guttiest playoff performances I've seen recently. So you can talk about how he pretty much averaged a triple-double in the regular season. What he did in this game last night, what he's doing in this series, even when the shot hasn't been there and he physically hasn't been there, is impressive. And so much so, Terrika, that I'm looking at Dallas in a different way overall.
Yeah, and you know what else is crazy about that too is I think that I certainly was one who was like, okay, this, not only do we need to see Luka show up, but Kyrie's got to show up. Like, this is your moment. Kyrie, you're the guy, you're that person that has it. But what has been impressive is their supporting cast has also shown up in big moments, specifically in Game 5, that has really helped to take a lot of pressure off of them. So, yeah, you got Luka playing on one leg, but you also got PJ Washington, who's averaging damn near 20 points, shooting from the floor 47%. You also got Derrick Jones who's stepping up. And so I think that's really important for this team, especially if they're moving into the Western Conference Finals, which would potentially be a matchup with Denver. You're going to need your bigger supporting cast to come and assist you. So I love seeing that out of this team. But, I'm not giving up hope on OKC. I'm not completely giving up hope. I would love to see them push this to 7 games, but they've just got to make some. Number one, they've got to make some adjustments. Like, if that deep ball isn't there, they've got to figure out other ways to get other people involved other than just SGA. There are some superstars who you can say, hey, I'm just going to pass the ball off to you and make it happen. But he's got to have some help, right? Chet Holmgren, he tried to a little bit, but wasn't really finding his shot. And every team has a bad night, right? Every Every team has a bad shooting night. Everybody has a day where it's just not your day. But you got to figure out how to make adjustments when it's just not your day. Because SGA ain't going to save you every single time like he did in game 4. And I don't really talk about Josh Giddey too much for my own personal reasons. I really try not to mention him. But at the end of the day, bro, you got benched in the middle of the game. You got bitched. Right. I'm saying all this to say you've got to figure out, more importantly, how to make adjustments, how to go about this size advantage that Dallas has over you. Like, don't let inexperience be the reason that you don't truly make history and make it to the Western Conference Finals. So you got one other shot to get it done in game 6.
You know what? Inexperience will be the reason, though. Inexperience will be the reason. That will be the reason. And, you know, I'll tell you. Let me tell you a story. When I first started covering basketball, so I took over for a legend. I started covering pro basketball when I was 23. And I was working for the Akron Beacon Journal. And my predecessor was a guy named Terry Pluto. Now, Terry Pluto has written about, I've lost count, seriously, probably like 30 books. Maybe even more. He's just a writing machine. And he was a great basketball writer, a beat writer. And so I took over for Pluto. Pluto became a columnist and kept writing his books, you know, write a column, write a book, you know, spitting them out. So I remember at 23, and I'd hear all these, I thought, man, look at all these old reporters talking about experience and how important it is. I was like, oh, young teams, it doesn't matter just because a team is 24, average is 24, 25 years. You know, it doesn't mean they can't win. And Pluto was like, okay, I hear you. He said, now, do this for me, Michael. I'm gonna give you like a month. Why don't you find an example of what you're talking about? Why don't you find an example of a young team that wins a championship, and then we can talk. I said, yeah, well, I'll bet, watch. Couldn't do it. You can't.
I was just going to say, what'd you find?
No, nothing. I didn't. It doesn't work. And I was almost there, because when he asked me to do it, there was no examples. And then a couple years later, here comes Shaq, young Penny, and the Orlando Magic. I'm like, okay, watch this, Pluto. Watch this. This is a young team. This is what you need. You got a young center. You got a young point guard. They got swept.
I was just about to say, I hope you said that before the NBA Finals actually started, because they ain't win a game.
It's not, and Terrika, it's not OKC's fault. It's not like they're doing anything wrong. It's just like anything else. Yeah. You have experience. You know, and this is the key. Now, they proved it in game 4. This is where they fooled us all. They fooled me. They fooled everybody else. Game 4, it looked like they were about to lose it. Then SGA takes over down the stretch, and they pull out a victory that looked like a certain loss. It looked like they were going down 3-1. And that is what, but experienced teams do that all the time in the playoffs. They understand, like, oh, we didn't just do this in this game. We understand that any game could be like that. Any game, we may have to go there.
Yep, that's the key. And adjustments. That's like simply the key is adjustments. Experienced teams know how to make adjustments, and inexperienced teams don't, bottom line. And I'm just hoping, I'm spreading some positive energy, Holley. I'm trying to give some positive vibes to this OKC team that you can find a way to make adjustments. Because I'd really love to see this OKC team, you know, just make some history, do something different. But there are a lot of adjustments they need to make if that deep ball isn't falling for them. And I'm not sure they're experienced enough to figure out what that thing is.
Gary Carter tells me, by the way, that Terry Pluto has written 27 books. 27 books, 23 on sports, 4 on religion. Okay. He's a man of faith. And a lot of y'all were people of faith when you were getting ready for the WNBA showdown of Saint Caitlin Clark versus the Connecticut Sun. Y'all were people of faith too. I hope you didn't lose your faith. I hope you didn't lose your faith after watching that first game. Now, listen. I know you've been accused of being a Caitlin hater. You're not. You've explained it very well. I'm not hating. I'm just telling you. I'm a truth teller. And I'm certainly not a Caitlin hater. I'll start here with Caitlin Clark, Terrika. Great for business. She's great for business. And I love what she has spurred. She didn't create it, but she has spurred this in the sport, this renaissance, this interest, these new people outside. Hey, some of y'all wasn't thinking about the WNBA, wasn't thinking about it, didn't know about it, and all of a sudden here's Caitlin Clark and you're following it. Great to have you. Great to have you as part of the conversation. Amazing. Yep. So Caitlin Clark has brought about some numbers in the WNBA that we haven't seen in a generation, literally. I mean, this game was the most watched game, WNBA game, in 23 years. So let's start there before we get to the inexperience versus experience. Okay.
That we were just talking about.
Yeah, we were just talking about.
The
spectacle. What did you think of the spectacle? What did you think of?
I was at the game. I was there. I was live at the game. I cover for new folks just joining and don't know. I cover the Connecticut Sun as their reporter. So of course I'm sitting there. I know I'm aware of what this team is capable of, but I can't even get to the box office to grab my credential because the lines are around the corner. Keep in mind, they play in a casino. So the arena is in the middle of the casino and the line is wrapped around the corner, which is amazing. Even going inside, the concession lines, the atmosphere, it was quite literally, and there had to be maybe a 60-40 percentage of people who were there wearing Caitlin Clark jerseys, Iowa shirts, Fever stuff. So much so to the Sun decided to have a little fun with it and had a cam called the bandwagon cam where they were showing Fever fans across and Caitlin Clark fans across the arena. So and that is not to say that there was not, it was a sold out crowd. So there were plenty of Sun fans in the building, but there was absolutely an abundance of more or what it felt like more fans who traveled for this game than in previous games I've seen, and I've been covering the team for 3 years. I say all of that to say that all of those new fans experienced what myself and others have been trying to tell y'all the entire time. I just need new fans to admit we were right and y'all were wrong. And it has absolutely nothing to do specifically with Caitlin Clark because she wasn't the only rookie to have debuted over the last 2 days. We've seen Alyssa Peely debut. We've seen JC Sheldon debut. We got a chance to see Angel Reese last night. Like, we've seen these rookies now over the last 2 days debut. And I would say only Cameron Brink really had a debut where it was like, okay, that's a good start. Like, that's a really good start. Everyone else didn't shoot the ball well, didn't have the moment that they, I don't even want to say they thought, that fans thought. Because we told you, this league is not a league full of scrubs. This league is a league full of grown 20 plus 30-year-old women. And they do this. Now, poor Caitlin Clark.
I love this, by the way. I love this. Top 3 defense in the league for a reason. Welcome. Hello?
Top 3. And I'm just like, poor, I won't even say poor Caitlin, poor Fever, because y'all have to start the season against Connecticut twice and against the Liberty twice. Connecticut has to be one of the deepest and most experienced teams in the league. Everybody on their team, with the exception of maybe like one person, has been in the league like 5-6 years already. And then the Liberty, you got to see Stewie and JJ and Sloop. Like, this is what you got to see back to back to back. So it's not a favorable opening schedule anyway. But if anybody was going to make sure Holley, if anybody was going to make sure that Caitlin Clark and the Fever had their welcome to the WNBA moment, it was absolutely going to be the Connecticut Sun.
Yeah,
we told you.
We try to tell you. We try to tell you. Now, would you listen to Terrika now? Would you listen to what she was trying to say?
Can you stop calling me a hater now, please? Can you stop? I mean, and Caitlin gonna be fine, y'all. Like 20 points was great, and honestly, she got them 20 points for real in the fourth quarter. When not all 20, but she got majority of her points in the fourth quarter when Dejanay Carrington didn't have her locked up in jail no more because Dejanay was on her head like white on rice. It was crazy. But again, it's just the fact that she will be fine. It was game 1 against the top 3 defense in the league, y'all. She gonna be all right.
But that's the problem. See, like the hype, because look, this is what happens. This is what happens with hype. And we've seen maybe a few examples where there's a hype prospect and that game 1 is, oh, damn. Oh, I see it. Like, look, let's just use LeBron. We'll talk about LeBron in a few minutes. But LeBron's first game, there was so much hype around LeBron in high school, in the preseason. He played that first game in Sacramento. And he balled out, and people were like, oh, wow. But that is really a Hollywood, that's a rare experience. Most of the time, you're going to have the rookie coming out, and she's going to miss some shots. She's going to turn the ball over. Teams go lose. Teams not that good. I mean, they had the number 1 pick 2 years in a row. Oh, I wonder why. Because they're not good. They're not good yet. They're not ready.
And it's not like it was just Caitlin that didn't have the best of nights. Again, if you look at her stat line, you would say, oh, she had 20 points. This is great. Like, no, you have to watch the game. If you watch the game, it wasn't just that. Like, the turnovers led to not being able to make efficient passes. Therefore, Aaliyah Boston didn't have the best of nights. Nalissa Smith was the only one who could really find her shot anywhere, try to make some noise happen. Like, you had certain people trying to make some noise, but at the end of the day, it wasn't like it was just her. This is a good team. And good things happen when you're a good team. You know how to play together. You know how to play well. So you've got to just understand these. I was watching a clip from another show yesterday, and the host is like, yeah, the WNBA has some really great players. Well, who the hell did you think played in the league? Like kids? Of course, they have some really great players. Like, this is ridiculous, but you will find out. Everybody's not a Candace Parker. Candace Parker came in the league on her debut and dropped 34 and 12. Everybody ain't doing that. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's not doing that. So
look at that. I love that. Look at that picture. Look at that. Oh, the defense, that is cut. You surrounded. Oh, that's good defense. That's great defense.
It just is what it is. It just is what it is. Welcome, new fans. We hope you love it here.
Oh, no, don't stay. No, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. We want you to stay. We want you to stay and continue to get this education. Be around stars. Watch the stars. It'll be good for you, too. Let's hear the Fever and Caitlin Clark talk about that first game.
A lot to learn from. You know, it's the first one. There's going to be good ones, there's going to be bad ones. And, you know, like we said in the locker room, like, we play on Thursday. You got to learn from it and move on and be ready to go.
I think it's going back and watching video and showing her exactly, you know, some things that we can do to help her out to relieve some of that pressure. She's a rookie. You know, she's a rookie in this league. This is the best league in the world. We've got to teach her. We've got to teach her what these games are going to look like for her every single night, and we've got to eliminate some of that pressure for her. That's on me. That's on my staff to figure out.
She's a rookie. Great.
Yeah.
She's a rookie, and I'll tell you what the rookie's going to find out, and this is what everybody finds out. Look, I think it's going to happen not just in the WNBA with Caitlin Clark. It's going to happen in the NFL with Marvin Harrison Jr. It's going to happen in the NFL with Caleb Williams. I know, different sport, different construction, different dynamic. But veterans here, they watch these shows. Thank you for watching. They watch these shows. They listen to the commentary as well. They hear the hype, and sometimes they kind of egg it on a little bit. They out there, on X, Twitter, and like, oh yeah, good, welcome, yeah, good. I'm so happy you're gonna be in the league. This is a good day for you. Draft day, great. And they say, okay, I can't wait. I can't wait to show them something. And so, this is what she saw against Connecticut is gonna be. That's indicative of what she's gonna see the entire season. Yep. Some people are gonna be like that because this is their job, and they take pride in being great professionals. And some people are gonna do it because they hating.
And that's crazy.
Maybe
that's crazy.
Maybe it might be a combination of both, right, Terrika? It might be a combination.
That is crazy. Any grown woman out there hating on, or grown man out there hating on Caitlin Clark, y'all got better stuff to do. Y'all ain't got nothing else to do. This game, the WNBA, is full of drama and excitement. You don't need to hate to find it. It will find you. Believe me. You don't have to hate to do it. But it just is what it is. Angel Reese last night, she played against Dallas, and Arika Ngumbawale had to once again show people why she is who she is. Angel had 12 points and 8 rebounds, but she also had 2 turnovers. She also shot 5 of 14 from the field. She didn't have the best of nights, but I mean, it is what it is. Welcome to the WNBA, y'all. It's not the end of the world. Y'all, everybody will be fine. I promise they'll be fine.
Well, they'll be fine if they don't have to go up against the Las Vegas Aces, and if they don't have to deal with A'ja Wilson. I can't wait to talk to you about this. I didn't talk to you about A'ja Wilson. She got her shoe deal. A'ja Wilson visited the White House. A'ja Wilson, we know in the WNBA Finals, she didn't get league MVP last year. It bothered her. She wasn't even, and what I love about her, there's so many things I love about her. What I love is that she didn't try to pretend that it was no big deal. Her coach didn't pretend that it was no big deal. Her teammates were like, oh, this is ridiculous. Oh, what? She's not the MVP? Are you kidding me? So it mattered to her. And if you just look at all the things that she is, I know a lot of people came in for Caitlin Clark. Some of the new fans that you point out. You came in for Caitlin Clark. Good to have you. Now let's move over to this side of the theater, and I want you to watch A'ja Wilson do her thing, and then you'll understand what the top of the league, what the top team and the top player, what that looks like. You know it when you see it. You called her, yeah. Yes, indeed.
She is her, period. Period. There's nobody else in the WNBA that's going to give you what A'ja gives you. I mean, period. She comes into this season, and one of the things that she says all the time is you got to keep the main thing the main thing. She came into the first game with the main thing being on her mind. She dropped 17 points in the first quarter. This is what you do when you're a champion. And I think that as many people that are coming to this game for all of the young stars, not just Caitlin, but just all of the young stars that they love to have seen and worked with in college, they are going to now get a chance to witness what we've seen for the last few years, and that is a mega star in A'ja Wilson. She is serious. And there were questions around, whether or not who was going to replace Candace Parker in her absence. There was no Chelsea Gray. And I'm like, listen, Candace Parker didn't play for half the season last year, and Chelsea Gray missed game 4 of the finals, and they still won a championship. So missing pieces don't mean much for this Aces team, because they got A'ja Wilson, because they got Jackie Young, because they got Kelsey Plum. So please understand that this team is on a quest for a three-peat. And if A'ja coming out the gate right now, the way she came out the gate, this is her third game with at least 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists. This puts her in a tie with Breanna Stewart for the second most such games in WNBA history. Only Candace Parker has more. So this is the kind of company that A'ja Wilson is in. It's really not even up for debate or discussion. A'ja Wilson is her.
How we feel about the shoe deal? How we feel about this arrangement? And it was announced in South Carolina, in her hometown, before a game in the preseason. Is there any significance to this deal, to this partnership for you?
Well, this is twofold for me. Now, here's me keeping it a buck. Absolutely love that A'ja has this deal. We've been fighting for A'ja to have this deal forever. She earned it. She deserves it. I'm happy she has it. It came out that she actually had this deal a little over a year ago and just had to keep it under wraps for various reasons. Cool. But Nike, you're not going to gaslight us and make us think we crazy for saying what we were saying and having the outrage that we had, because we were not. There is a reason that we felt the way that we felt, and that is simply because we have seen time and time again people who deserve things, especially people who look like me, Black women, get overlooked time and time and time again. And it was no secret that people felt, well, if Sabrina got a shoe, and then it got leaked, then it was leaked that, Caitlin Clark got a shoe. How was A'ja Wilson missed somewhere in this conversation? It doesn't matter that y'all already did this to her a year ago. You're not going to put out this statement and make it seem like, oh, you think we would sleep? Yes, we do think you would sleep. We absolutely do think you would sleep, because it's not the first time. So don't try to gaslight us and make us seem like we was tripping for having the outrage that we had. Good job on y'all for making sure that y'all had your ducks in a row, but let's not act like this doesn't happen.
Yeah, and that's the other thing about A'ja Wilson that is so refreshing. She talks about this stuff like, you feel like, I haven't met her, by the way. I haven't met A'ja Wilson, I haven't interviewed her, I haven't had the pleasure yet. If you listen to A'ja Wilson, whether you're in the media or not, you feel like, oh yeah, we know each other. She just talks so directly, so honestly about issues that matter to her, that it's just like, oh, okay, I'm not dancing around. You ever see that with some athletes? You could tell, you could see the wheels turning. They're couching and they're framing and they're just trying to think of, hey, if I say that, somebody's going to twist that around. Well, if I say that, I might offend that part of my base. No, she said, Terrika, exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
She has said that.
It happens all the time. And then we get let me tell your fans something, Holley. Let me tell these brothers from another fans something. Don't think I don't see the comments, okay? Don't think I don't see the comments on these videos and on these shows when we live, especially when I'm on. I am going to always speak up and on behalf of Black women, okay? I ain't trying to hear your comments talk about, she always talk about race. You're damn right I am, because it's a thing. It's a thing. It is real. It happens. And it may not affect you, which is why you feel like it's just some secondary thing that people continue to make up. It is real. It happens. It exists in our world. And it is our responsibility to call it out each and every single time. So I don't care how mad you get that I bring up race or that I bring up how Black women are treated. I'm gonna do it every damn time, period.
See, this is why we have you on the show. We have you on the show, you just be you. You be you. And don't spend too much time in the comments. Don't spend too much time in the comments. Not too much time. We just need to let the people know they're not commenting in vain. We appreciate the engagement. Yeah, you got to browse, but you get in there too much. You're like, oh, wait a minute. I've been here for. You just gotta browse. I've been here for 35 minutes.
Oh shit! Now that's
what
way
they
too
say.
long.
That ain't even true.
That's way too long.
I'll tell you what is true. I'll tell you what's true, and I got to get to this before we get you out of here. So we'll be done soon enough. But how long have you lived on the East Coast?
Woo, too long. 10 years.
Okay, 10 years. 10 years. For those who are on the East Coast, you'll know this is true. For those who have not spent a lot of time on the East Coast, listen to what we're telling you. If the NBA, if it so happens that the Celtics, Boston Celtics, who are already in the Eastern Conference Finals, what you want if you don't want a lot of hyperbole and exaggeration and people who are in your face, what you want, if you're not that kind of person, you are rooting hard for the Indiana Pacers. You're rooting for, oh God, please, let the Indiana Pacers, please let them win. Because, okay, Celtics, Pacers, all right. Because we know, I live in Boston, have lived in Boston for a long time, love it. And it's not for everybody. You know, it's just like, you want to talk about in your face and, hey, you know, people say what they think and they just say it. They don't hesitate. Now, add New York to that. If it's Celtics Knicks for the Eastern Conference, for the banner, for the little chip, the Eastern Conference Championship. Yeah, like it's so overwhelming because they're already here in Boston. You have a lot of New York, so there are tons of colleges and universities in Boston. And a lot of New Yorkers come to Boston for school. They say, oh, this city ain't shit. I just come here for school.
That's it.
Y'all ain't nothing. And then I'm going back to New York. And then the people from Boston who are going to school in Boston and dealing with these New Yorkers, and they talking trash with them. It's back and forth, on and on. They're both, it's family. It's like the most obnoxious family reunion all the time.
It is not only, and so here I am in Connecticut, in between Boston and New York. And so we're a melting pot. Like you could walk into any place and see nothing but Knicks or nothing but Celtics. Like you're right here in the middle, right? And when I tell you it feels like we've been set up for this, it just kind of feels, I'm not saying that nothing is fixed or anything like that. I'm just saying the script is scripting right now. It looks like the script is scripting on this Celtics Knicks Eastern Conference Finals. So it appears that this is the angle that would be very beneficial to the NBA if it were to line up that way.
Okay, listen, I might, you know, now you're going all Rick Carlisle on me. Okay, now Carlisle, after game 2, hey, we're a small market team and we deserve a chance. So, no, really great performance from Carlisle. Great performance because he knew exactly what he was doing. It was awesome. And you know, by the way, I will say the NBA, y'all prices are too low. Your prices are too low. Too low. Too low when it comes to punishing coaches and players. Okay, let me just give you an example. I'm Rick Carlisle. I'm the head coach of the Indiana Pacers. My team is down 2-0. We're going back to Indy. And I want to take a shot at the league and the officials. I want to take my shot. I take my shot. How much does it cost me? $35,000? That ain't nothing. Okay, so for $35,000, I can just put the league on blast. I can call out the officials, $35,000, and I can get what I want for $35,000. That's a discount. Jamal Murray, game 2, sitting there, chilling on the bench, throwing stuff on the court. He's throwing stuff on the court because he's mad at the officials. It only cost him $100,000, no suspension, and now they turned around, they're up 3-2.
Yep.
Come on. Yep. I do it. I do it. That's all I got to pay? $35,000?
I do it
so
too.
For both incidents, total $135,000. Why not?
I'm with you on the Jamal Murray incident because what he was doing, like literally could have gotten somebody injured. So there definitely should have been a little bit more than just 100 bones for that. That's a bit much. Rick Carlisle now, I'm actually not mad at that. Could it be more than 35,000? Maybe. But I feel like every once in a while, you need to drop a few dollars just to put people on blast. Now, I joke around a lot.
I agree. If I'm him, I do it. But Terrika, you know, and look, I'm all for criticizing, the management structure and all that stuff in the NBA, the corporate offices. Yeah, go at the corporate giants. I'm all for that. But if you look at it from the NBA's perspective, they said, did a coach just come to the number one media market in the country and question the integrity of our league and our officials? Wow. So he's pretty much saying, we're not winning because we're from Indiana and y'all are New York. And this is what people want. I mean, that's a pretty big charge. I love it. I'm here for it. Great. But it's a big charge.
It is. It's a huge charge. And all jokes aside, because I'm clearly joking around when I'm saying the fix is in. I don't think anybody's fixing anything like that, quite honestly. Conspiracy theory stuff, I'm not really into that. But I can say that for those who are, and as someone who is big on optics, I have mentioned multiple times this season that the officiating with and around the Knicks feels different than when it is with, I've seen it with Detroit, I've seen it with Philadelphia, and I have absolutely seen it with Indiana. And then these raggedy 2-minute reports come out, which I love and hate. I hate these 2-minute reports because what does it do?
Love.
You know what I'm saying? More hate than love, because what is it actually doing? Like, you're not changing the outcome of the game or the result. You're just pissing me off even more by telling me stuff I already knew. So these come out and there was, this should have been called. Yeah, that should have been called. Yeah, this was right. Yeah, this was missed. So to think that one would feel that there is a little bit of a lenience towards, pushing the Knicks agenda, I can understand where folks would get that from, because there are moments where it does feel like that. Also, it does benefit the league to have the Celtics and the Knicks in the conference finals. And again, I'm not saying they set it up that way, because again, that's questioning the integrity of the league, and I'm honestly not doing that. But it is naive to think that two of the biggest, if not the two biggest fan bases and markets on the East Coast coming together. We're talking about numbers. WNBA did 2.1 million in viewership on opening day. Can you imagine what the numbers will look like day one of the Eastern Conference Finals? And it's the Celtics and the Knicks. Yeah. Can you imagine the prices at the Garden as well as MSG with these two teams going back and forth? The legends that will come out to watch and support this game. Like, this is a match made in heaven from a revenue standpoint, from a viewership standpoint, and just from an overall culture of basketball. So there is a lot to benefit from if this actually happens.
You know what? And that's Terrika, it's a great point. That's the next level for all the sports that are looking up to the NFL. That's all of them. Looking up to the NFL. Wow, it's amazing all the things that you do, what you're able to do with your draft. We're calling names, and people get excited about names. Like 80% of names they don't know, and players they haven't watched, they get excited about it. The way you get people excited about the schedule. We all knew the teams that were playing each other. It's not new. They didn't break news with the teams. They just said, okay, this is going to happen when. This is when this is going to happen. And this team has X amount of primetime games. And like the storylines and the drama that the league creates. But the next level for the NFL, this is the very top of it. NFL is so tight that it doesn't matter who makes the Super Bowl. So next year, let's say the Jacksonville Jaguars, small market, take on the Green Bay Packers, smallest market, in the Super Bowl. Guess how many people are going to watch? Over 100 million. Over 100 million. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. In the NFL, doesn't matter what markets are there. In the other sports, it does. In baseball, it does. In hockey, it certainly does. And in basketball, the sport has grown and the numbers are great and great media deals and all of these things. But last year you had Denver and Miami. Good markets, but not really great for the bottom line. How about a few years ago? A great final. Giannis in Milwaukee against Phoenix, great final. You look at the numbers. It was one of the lowest rated finals probably in the last 15, 20 years. It was Milwaukee
Yep.
and Phoenix. And,
I think
and,
another
and it
point-
shouldn't be like that, but it is
right.
like that.
You're right. And just to add to your point, two markets, smaller markets, people might not think they're smaller markets, but in the grand scheme of things, they are. But two smaller markets that like faced each other 2 years in a row, I want to say, Miami and San Antonio. But at the time, you had a D Wade, a LeBron James, a Tim Duncan. It wasn't the market per se that carried
it was the stars.
viewership. It was the stars. So to your point, you got to have one or the other. You either got to have the market or you got to have the stars. But to eliminate both in basketball, it does jiggle your bottom line a bit. And anybody who doesn't believe that is naive to think that to think otherwise. So yeah, I think that's the only thing that I mean when I say the fix is it. Like, you have to understand the gravity of what it would mean for the NBA to have these two legendary franchises facing off in the Eastern Conference Final. It would be a dream.
And I want to say this, it'll be a dream. And it is no joke, because let's talk about this guy just very briefly, because there's not much to say. There's not much to say about Nikola Jokic. Now, they were down 2-0 to Minnesota, and that series may be over tonight. Okay, that series may be over. You've got the MVP playing like the MVP. I had to throw a little Rakim line. Old school. Y'all hip hop fans, y'all get the Rakim ain't no joke reference in there. That's all right. Look it up.
We did.
Look it up. All right. Anyway, but he's playing like the guy he is. He's just so confident and so above the rest. I mean, he can do everything. And I think he is, and not even verbally, taking the Denver Nuggets on his back and said, okay, this is where we're going. But his performance tells you everything you need to know. Okay, we're in trouble. I got it. I'm either going to score because nobody can guard me. Defensive player of the year, Terrika, you called him out. You called out Rudy Gobert.
Sure did.
Defensive player of the year.
He cracked him. He cracked his head. Like, show up then. You defensive player of the year, show up then. See? I told you.
How's he the defensive player? So whether it's scoring on the defensive player of the year or showing you his point guard skills or just getting every rebound or setting up everything significant that happens in a game. Yeah, three MVPs in the last 4 years. Small market Denver Nuggets or smaller market Denver Nuggets. I think we're about to see them again I'm skipping over the Western Conference Finals. I think we're going to see them in the NBA Finals. What say you?
Okay. Well,
I'm skipping over.
I love to give the underdog a good fight. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to just disrespect Dallas or OKC like that because I just said
or Minnesota.
Or Minnesota,
maybe
for that
Minnesota.
matter, yeah. However,
could they win it? Could Minnesota force a Game 7?
Could they force a Game 7? Yes. Could they? Yes. Will they? I don't know. Because that inexperience and that immaturity that I was talking about with OKC, you are seeing it with Minnesota right now. Like, it can't only be Anthony Edwards. What happened? Like, what happened to that fire? The best game you played without your 4-time defensive player of the year. And yes, I'm throwing shade because how the hell y'all get that man 4 defensive players of the year? Anyway, I'm just saying one of the best games that they played without him. So that it's that inability to make adjustments that you're starting to see and is getting at them. There was a tandem between Rudy Gobert, between Karl Anthony Towns. They were in tandem giving Jokic the business. What happened? Like, why did you stop? Because now he just taking over. This man never really gets to see 3 7-footers coming at him on a nightly basis. Y'all have that advantage, and you're not taking advantage of it in game 3 or game 4. You're relying way too much on outside shooting instead of, hey, like, let's make some moves. Let's pull up. Let's do any of that. Nothing. You made no offensive adjustments whatsoever. And you're just simply starting to see it. For a while, you had taken Jamal Murray out. Like, he was just ineffective. What happened? The defensive pressure is gone. You let up. Now he's doing what he wanted to do. He did what he wanted to do. So this is what I mean. Like, you're not making adjustments. You lost whatever fire it was that you had. Can you force a game 7? You got the pieces. You got the equipment. You got the tools. You're going back home. Do what you need to do.
Hey, well, Terrika, maybe the answer is just so obvious, and we've already mentioned it. We mentioned it a couple of times today. You probably have experienced it in your career. I've experienced it. We've talked about it. Experience versus inexperience. So we were talking about Anthony Edwards. How old is Anthony Edwards? He's 22. He's 22. And we're talking about the maturity. So we've done this year. We've talked about the maturity of Anthony Edwards at 22. We've talked about the maturity of SGA, who's 25, and all of these guys, and they're ready, and it's about to be their league, and it's their turn. The only way you're going to get that done at 22 or 23 is if you got somebody probably more experienced with you who can take you over. For example, okay, Kobe at 22, 23 had Shaq, who had been disappointed. They had experienced some disappointment together. Dwayne Wade at 23 had Shaq. Okay, like, it's just difficult for a young player who's going to have some struggles. And Edwards is having some struggles right now. Man, we were talking about him. Shame on me. I know better. I'm talking about him like, oh, he sound like Jordan and he moved like Jordan. Jordan was 28 when he won his first one. He was 28.
Yeah, but
Jokic was 28.
You weren't the only one, though. I ain't gonna let you take all of the grunt on yourself, because you wasn't the only one. I mean, I wouldn't compare him to Jordan, but you weren't the only one. But I will say this, though, as it relates to experience, this team also was playing without Mike Conley in Game 5. Now, that might not be a big deal to most people. Like, oh, it's Mike Conley. Actually, no, that's a huge deal that Mike Conley wasn't playing, because not only is he 36, so there's that veteran presence, but that's the kind of veteran presence that gives you, reminds you to calm your temperament, get your emotions in check. And he's also an offensive threat for this team. So not only did they miss his leadership, but they also miss his actual scoring and playmaking ability. If he plays in Game 6, I think that's a difference. I think that's a game changer. Again, I'm not saying he's going to be your leading scorer, but I am saying he brings something to this team, especially given immaturity and inexperience. He has both maturity and experience and can assist offensively. So let's hope he plays Game 6.
Well, Terrika, how about the combination? This is the last topic for you today. How about the combination of immaturity and inexperience living in the same house with great experience, great maturity, and great accomplishment? You put that all together, and what you have is Bronny James, okay? His own inexperience, his own youth, but that name. You are LeBron James Jr., okay? And we know what that name, the weight of that name, the experience of that name. Here's Bronny, the prospect, on trying to get into the NBA and playing with his father and all these things that we've talked about. Let's hear from Bronny.
Would you want to put out there that, hey, only draft me if you really think I'm good enough and not for all these other reasons, obviously because of your dad, or just like, hey, whatever gets me there, I'll get there?
Honestly, I feel like this is a serious business, and I don't feel like there would be like a thought of I'm just drafting this kid just because of I'm gonna get his dad. Like I don't think a GM would really allow that. So, yeah, I've never really thought about like, I think I've put in the work and I would get drafted because of the person, not only the player, but the person that I am.
First of all, it's good to hear from Bronny James. Now, this is something. This is 2024, where he didn't give an interview. He didn't grant interviews at USC on the advice of his advisors. So we didn't really get an opportunity to listen to Bronny James. I like listening to him. It's really, I'm just fascinated by the whole story, Terrika, that you've got a guy who is, I think he's a developing prospect who's got talent. And so if you look at him that way, yeah, like what's going to happen? Will this kid get a shot? And then you put his name to it. So the developing prospect part of it is interesting because I'm always interested in who's going to show out at the draft combine. And then it's Bronny James. And what does that mean for his draft journey? I think I understand what he's saying, like, hey, a GM wouldn't do it. Bronny, a GM would. A GM would do it. If they thought they could get LeBron James, the package deal, yes, they would. Yes, they would. They draft Bronny James in the second round. Certainly pick 48, pick 51, you're damn right. And don't be ashamed of that. Don't apologize for that. This is what your parents have worked hard to put you in this position. This is what all parents want to do. This is what they want to do. I want to make a clearer path for you. I want to make it easier for you. So if somebody drafts you because they think there's some connection to LeBron James or he's got the bloodlines, maybe we can turn this guy into a top 8, top 9 in the rotation NBA player, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
You nailed it. You honestly nailed it because in my mind, I'm like, there isn't enough nepotism in our community, to be honest. I mean, people get it all the time out the mud.
Say it
on
again.
The other side of the aisle, there isn't enough. So for you to like trying to avoid it, it's like very oxymoronic to me because how in the world can LeBron James's son say, I want you to pick me, but not because I'm LeBron James's son? Bruh, they're picking you because you're LeBron James's son. Like, I want you to, like, you're here because you're LeBron James's son. You're noticed because you're LeBron James's son. I was listening to another analyst and they made a great point. And he said, Kendrick Perkins, he was talking and he said, I was a McDonald's All-American coming out of high school scoring 24 points. Bronny was averaging 14 points and he's a McDonald's All-American. Bruh, you're saying that to say most people averaging 14 points a game in high school are not McDonald's All-Americans. It's because you are LeBron James's son. And any general manager who thinks, you think the Lakers need Bronny James? Lakers don't need Bronny James. Bronny James ain't doing a thing for that LA team whatsoever. But they will be willing to get him in the second round if that means we get to keep LeBron James here, if for nothing else, if for no other reason, right? I think if he accepts the fact that he might be a second rounder, that he'll be a role player, that he could be somebody who can assist the team off the bench. And there are not a lot of prospects who go into the draft willing to accept that kind of a role. Most people go into the draft, and that's if he truly goes into the draft. I love the fact that the NBA has a setup to where I can go to the combine, I can see what my prospects look like, I can really think about what I'm going to do before making a decision to go back to school if it doesn't pan out. Personally, I really feel like he should go, but I know that he's not. I know that he's more than likely going to continue to declare for the NBA draft, but I would go back to school if it were me. If I wanted to be a higher draft pick, if I wanted to be, if I really want people to pick me off my talent and ability and who I am, I would do things to strengthen and get better at my craft. But instead, you're very sure that you're going to be a pick in this year's draft. Understand that people are doing it because of who you are, not specifically on your talent and ability. And it's okay. That's the part I need Bronny to understand. It's okay. I'm in a sorority, right? And so in being in a sorority, we have
Which one?
Legacy candidates. I'm a member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated.
Okay.
And we're the last created, best designed. And as a member of Sigma Gamma Rho, we have legacy candidates where you can be considered with a little extra special consideration if you are a legacy of a member. And that does not mean that once that member becomes, once that candidate becomes a member, that she doesn't make her own path, that she doesn't do her own thing, set her own trend. It happens all the time. But we love having people who have a little bit of extra oomph in their legacy. Accept the legacy, Bronny. It's cool. It's nothing wrong with it.
It's cool. Because the Lakers, because who owns the Lakers? Who owns the Lakers?
Yeah, the Buss family. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, right. So Jenny Buss, Dr. Jerry Buss, okay, like the Cowboys.
Buss, hello.
Yeah, the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, the Patriots here,
Jr.
Robert Kraft, Jonathan Kraft. I mean, it just goes on and on. There are people on the Supreme Court. They got their start because they were clerking for somebody who knew somebody. There's somebody
who knew somebody,
who got a job because there's somebody who knew somebody. This is how it works. Let's not pretend it doesn't happen.
This is how it works.
Reverend Foster-Brasby, I'm dead now. I'm dead. You got me. You preached it. You preached it down. I got nothing else to say. Always great to see you, sister. And
always great to be on the show with you.
Yeah, we'll check in soon. Good to see you. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.